Welcome in, everybody. Welcome back into Motive.Means.Opportunity. Today, we're going to discuss Melodee Buzzard case. If you're new here, we have followed Melodee Buzzard extensively. It's a crazy case. So we're going to be talking about the disappearance of 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard and the growing wave of outrage that is people protesting outside her mother's home, Ashley Buzzard's home. How did we get to this point? Where strangers are standing on a sidewalk begging a mother to tell them where her child is? And what does it say about the system that weeks later authorities don't have those answers? Stay with me. We're going to talk about what this means, the case, the crazy case of Melodee Buzzard. But first, I want you to watch this clip.
Protesters gathered outside the California home of Ashley Buzzard yesterday. Remember this? So it was a demonstration that was organized on TikTok. This is anger and frustration continue to build in the case of her missing 9-year-old daughter, Melodee. The child has now been missing for more than 6 weeks. Protesters say they want answers. And in a stunning and emotional scene, one of the people outside the home was Buzzard's own older daughter. And this protest comes as an acquaintance, Tyler Brewer, claims that she told him she left Melodee with a couple that she met at a zoo, people she allegedly can't name or locate or provide contact information for. Brewer says he pressed her about whether Melodee had been harmed or trafficked and claims she just refused to answer. Tonight, the questions are only growing louder.
Thank you.
Yeah, where is Melodee Buzzard? You know, this case is very disturbing. Ashley Buzzard doesn't drive. Ashley Buzzard has a history of mental illness, and she lost her first daughter. In fact, the case of Ashley Buzzard is deeper than we could ever have imagined. Some reporters discovered that Ashley Buzzard's mom and her had to flee her father, and they were homeless at one point. They were in shelters, I believe, and she was 9 years old, the same age as her daughter that is missing, Melodee Buzzard. She doesn't drive, but she wears wigs when she leaves the house. She looks like she's disguising herself, and she rented a car and drove all the way out to Utah into the mountains and made several stops in different states over a 3-day period this fall, wearing wigs, where her daughter was videotaped in one of the car rental places, also wearing a wig. And that was the last we have of any proof that 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard is still alive. Her friend, longtime friend, tried to get from her what she did with little Melodee, and she refused to ask. They ended up arresting her on a charge I suspect was mainly just to try to persuade her to talk to them, because she had taken a box cutter, and in the midst of all this, she's moving and packing boxes. Well, it gets even stranger. Stay with me. She had threatened Tyler in his account of the story, and they refused to let him leave the house. And he tape recorded that conversation. And he felt afraid because the implication was with the box cutter that he wasn't safe. Now, we heard that recording, and that might have been a stretch of what really happened, because she didn't sound threatening in the recording, and it was tossed out of court, regrettably. But authorities used that to try to get her to talk to them about where Melodee is, and she didn't talk. But here's the disturbing part. In all of that, Melodee, when Tyler was inside the house, was displayed, or what it looked like Ashley had done was display a shrine in memory of her 9-year-old daughter, Melodee Buzzard. She had a doll on the couch dressed up in Melodee's clothes, almost like it was a memorial to her. In fact, we reported here, she went outside to the front lawn where her missing posters of her daughter were that people had put up, including Melodee's stepsister and their friends, and she cut the faces out of those posters and brought them inside her house and put them or taped them or whatever she did on her couch on this memorial site, if you will, on her couch of her daughter's face dressed up in clothes on a doll or a stuffed animal or something in her house. What do you say about that? That's like very disturbing. Very disturbing. And it goes to show how if you simply insert your Fifth Amendment right to not speak, if they don't have any evidence on where she dropped her off in this 3-day rampage out east from California in a rental car wearing wigs, are we ever going to find out where Melodee went? I thought myself that she was trafficking drugs, that she was a drug mule potentially. Maybe something went wrong. I don't really know. Um, how did she come up with her bail money and everything else? I don't really know where she gets her money, but she drives rental cars wearing wigs, and it's extremely disturbing, extremely upsetting that we may never know where 9-year-old Melodee is. Authorities are pretty certain that she's the one responsible. She's been missing for 6 weeks now. And the disappearance centers around her mother, Ashley Buzzard, in California. The law enforcement agents have identified her as the key person of interest. They've indicated she's not cooperating. And despite interviews and search efforts and community pressure, we don't know where she is. And the frustration is growing for people like myself and you who want to know where this 9-year-old daughter is. And this mother has a history of incredible ill health and lost her older daughter, many years ago, custody of her older daughter. So on December 20th, protesters gathered outside her home and with signs and chanting and calling out her name, pleading for her to tell us where Melodee is. And it wasn't a long planned professional organized march. It was organic and social media driven response with ordinary people who've had enough watching children disappear while adults play games with the truth. And the protest formed because people felt traditional channels aren't working, and they're not. And they're not just angry about Ashley, they're angry at the system that can't seem to compel answers. The system, there's like a loophole in it. And there's no way to apparently force this mother into telling us where her daughter is. And that is the most disturbing part of this, is that people can bypass the system when it comes to reporting their own children missing. And Ashley's older daughter, the one she lost custody of, was also, as you just heard, one of the ones outside protesting. It raises questions about the trauma and the boundaries. And when kids get caught in these crossfires and the system and all of the red tape, gray loopholes in the law fail our children. There's a line here between public outrage and parental harassment as well that we have to talk about. People no longer trust the system and they want to protect the children. And she has her rights. She has her rights, including the right to remain silent. And they may not have yet have enough evidence to charge her with a specific crime, but without charges, they simply can't lock her up and demand answers. So we end up in this limbo of this 9-year-old child missing and the parent who knows what more than they're willing to discuss, assuming she didn't go into a blackout, which is really hard to believe that she went into a blackout for 3 days and managed to drive, halfway across the country. I mean, that's just wild. And the legal framework is built around protecting the rights of the adult, more so than rescuing the child as fast as humanly possible. It's not just about one mother and one case, it's about how our justice system weighs due process versus urgent child safety, and the adult civil liberties versus a missing child's right to be found. From an energetic perspective, cases like this crack something open in the collective. So you might be feeling rage at the idea of this child that's being used as a leverage or a shield, and feeling helpless watching authorities follow procedure while time passes. You may feel grief that not only Melodee, but for every child who's been failed like this. It's just wild. It's absolutely wild. I'm angry. How does this make you feel? The justice system so needs to change. It so needs to change. I don't know. I mean, I guess other than truth serum, what could we really do to show that what she said, if we were able to coerce her into talking, would be factual? I mean, it's just a disaster. It's a mess. And I really hope that the protesters continue to put the pressure on her outside. And I hope that the authorities who have cases building up on their to-do list of missing kids continue to push to find answers and to find the truth and to try to seek out whether there's any truth to her supposed claim to her longtime friend Tyler that she left Melodee with strangers, a that she met at a zoo. At a zoo. Oh my god, it's so tragic, and I just think about that child right now. Think about that child. And tell me how you feel about this and the outrage of the cracks in the system, and that Melodee may never be found. Is she being kidnapped? Is she trafficked? Is she dead somewhere? We don't really know, but she deserves better than this. And I, for one, am hoping and praying that she is found and brought home soon, and I hope you will pray for that with me as well. Thank you for being here. Love and light.